General Lisa Grant was reviewing supply reports when the first alarm sounded. She looked up from her desk at the United Nations Military Command Center, her coffee cup halfway to her lips. The sound was not the usual drill tone. This was the emergency alert that every officer dreaded. "General, we have incoming fire from orbit," Lieutenant Karen Hayes called from the communications station. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook as she worked the controls. Lisa dropped her cup and rushed to the main display screen. The coffee spilled across her papers, forgotten. 3 red markers appeared on the global map, each one pulsing with urgent light. New York, Shanghai, Mumbai. "Get me visual confirmation now," Lisa ordered. The screen changed. What she saw made her blood turn cold. Massive beams of blue energy were falling from the sky like pillars of fire. They struck the cities with the force of 1,000 bombs. Buildings that had stood for decades vanished in seconds. The beams carved through metal and concrete as if they were paper. "Casualty estimates," Lisa said quietly. Her jaw was tight. "Calculating now, General. Initial numbers suggest millions dead or wounded in the first strike alone." The analyst's voice cracked. "The orbital bombardment is still ongoing." Admiral Kevin Hughes burst into the command center. His uniform was half-buttoned, and his face was pale. "What in God's name is happening?" "We're under attack," Lisa said. She kept her eyes on the screen, watching as more energy beams fell. Someone just declared war on Earth without warning. The bombardment lasted 7 minutes. When it finally stopped, 3 of humanity's greatest cities were burning ruins. The death toll was climbing by the second. Rescue workers were already reporting that they could not reach the worst areas. The heat was too intense. Lisa's communication officer spoke up. "General, we're receiving a broadcast. Source is unknown. Coming from somewhere beyond lunar orbit. Put it through." The screen changed again. A tall figure appeared, dressed in dark armor that seemed to absorb light. Its face was angular, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. When it spoke, the translation software made its voice sound cold and mechanical. "Primitive humans of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Vakthis of the Krithian Empire. Your planet has resources that the Empire requires. You have 30 of your hours to surrender unconditionally. Comply, and your species will be preserved as laborers. Resist, and you will be exterminated." This demonstration was merely a taste of our power. Choose wisely. The transmission ended. The command center was silent. Every person in the room stared at the blank screen. Some were crying. Others looked shocked, unable to process what they had just witnessed and heard. Lisa's hands curled into fists. She had served in the military for 28 years. She had seen combat, had lost friends, had made decisions that cost lives. But this was different. This was an enemy that had killed millions without hesitation, without even the courtesy of a declaration of war. "Get me a line to the UN Security Council," she said. "Emergency session." Now, within the hour, Lisa stood before the council. The chamber was chaos. Representatives were shouting, some demanding immediate surrender, others calling for retaliation. Ambassador Daniel Torres sat at the head table, trying to maintain order. "General Grant," he said, "you've reviewed the situation. What are your recommendations?" Lisa stepped to the podium. She looked at each council member in turn. Her voice was calm, but everyone in the room could hear the steel beneath it. "The Krithian Empire has committed an act of unprovoked aggression against Earth. They have murdered millions of innocent civilians. They have declared their intention to enslave or exterminate our entire species." She paused. "They believe we are primitive. They believe we will surrender out of fear. We don't have a choice," one representative said. "You saw what they did. We can't fight that kind of power." "You're right," Lisa said. "We can't fight them the way they expect. We don't have their weapons or their ships. But we have something they clearly don't understand." "What's that?" Ambassador Torres asked. "We're human. When someone hits us, we hit back harder. When someone threatens our families, our homes, our freedom, we don't surrender. We fight with everything we have, we adapt, we survive, and we win. Another representative stood. That's a nice speech, General, but speeches don't stop orbital bombardment. You're right again, Lisa said. She pulled out a data pad and uploaded files to the Council's screens. Which is why we're not going to wait for them to hit us again. I'm activating every classified defense project we have. I'm recalling every soldier, every pilot, every scientist. And I'm going to send the Crithian Empire a message they won't forget. What message? Torres asked. Lisa's expression was ice. That they made a mistake. They chose to strike Earth first. They chose this war. And now we're going to advance straight to their doorstep and make them regret it. The council erupted in argument again. Some supported her. Others said she was insane. That she would get everyone killed. Lisa didn't wait for them to reach a consensus. She walked out of the chamber and returned to the command center. Admiral Hughes was waiting for her. The council approved your plan, he asked. They will. They don't have another choice. Lisa moved to the communications station. Open a channel. Wide broadcast. I want the Crithian commander to hear this. The officer complied. Lisa leaned toward the microphone. When she spoke, her words were transmitted across every frequency, reaching into space itself. Supreme Commander Vakthis. This is General Lisa Grant, of Earth's Combined Defense Forces. You struck Earth first. You killed our people. You threatened our world. You made your choice. She paused, letting the silence stretch. Now we make ours. We reject your demand. We will not surrender. We will not bow. Instead, we advance. We're coming for you, Commander. And when we arrive, you'll learn exactly how primitive humanity can be. She cut the transmission. Hughes whistled low. That's going to make them angry. Good, Lisa said. Angry enemies make mistakes. Get me Colonel Flynn at the Colorado facility. Tell Dr. Carter I need the Prometheus systems online in 48 hours. And activate recall protocols for all off-world personnel. You're serious about this. Dead serious. They wanted a war. They're going to get one. Lisa looked at the screen showing the burning cities. The rescue operations continued. Tiny figures moving through smoke and fire to save whoever they could. We owe it to everyone who died today. We owe it to everyone who will die if we do nothing. Over the next 3 weeks, Earth transformed. Every nation put aside old conflicts. Resources flowed to a single purpose. Factories that made cars started making weapons. Scientists who studied climate worked on shield technology. Soldiers trained day and night in conditions they had never imagined. And in orbit around Earth, invisible to Crithian sensors, the first of humanity's new fleet began to take shape. Ships built with technology the Empire didn't know humans possessed. Weapons designed by minds that refused to accept defeat. General Lisa Grant stood in the observation deck of the command center, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Crithian Empire was preparing for humanity's surrender. They were going to be very disappointed. You struck us first, she whispered to the darkness. Now watch us advance. 3 weeks had passed since the Crithian attack. The smoking ruins of 3 cities were still being cleared. The death toll had reached 8 million and kept climbing as rescue workers found more bodies. But Earth was not mourning in silence. Every corner of the planet was preparing for war. General Lisa Grant walked through the underground facility in Colorado, her boots echoing on metal floors. Admiral Kevin Hughes followed close behind, carrying a stack of classified folders. They passed soldiers running drills, engineers assembling equipment, and scientists arguing over equations on digital boards. How many nations have contributed so far? Lisa asked. All of them, Hughes replied. Every single country has sent something. Money, weapons, personnel, technology. Even nations that were enemies last month are working together now. The Crithians united Earth in a way nothing else ever could. They entered a secure conference room where Dr. Helen Carter was waiting. The scientist looked exhausted. Her gray hair was pulled back in a messy knot, and coffee stains marked her lab coat, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "General, you're going to want to see this," Helen said. She activated a holographic display. The image showed a sleek spacecraft, unlike anything Earth had ever built before. It was angular and aggressive, bristling with weapons, and covered in panels that seemed to shift color. "What am I looking at?" Lisa asked. "The future," Helen said with a tired smile. 5 years ago, a Crithian scout ship crashed in the Andes Mountains. The Empire never found it. We kept the discovery completely secret. Since then, my team has been reverse engineering their technology. Hughes leaned forward. "You've had alien technology for 5 years and never told anyone?" "The previous administration decided it was too dangerous to reveal," Helen explained. "They were afraid of causing panic or starting an arms race. But they gave me funding to study it quietly. We've made breakthroughs in propulsion, shields, and weapons." Lisa studied the hologram. "How many can we build?" With current production rates and global cooperation, we can have 40 ships combat ready in 2 weeks, 60 more within a month." Helen pulled up another display. "But it's not just ships, General. We've developed portable shield generators, energy weapons that can be carried by infantry, and a stealth system that makes our vessels invisible to Crithian sensors." "Why would their own technology be invisible to them?" Hughes asked. Helen grinned. "Because we improved it. Their stealth systems were good, ours are better. We studied how their sensors work and designed countermeasures specifically for them. They're looking for certain signatures. We don't produce those signatures." Lisa felt hope rising in her chest for the first time since the attack. "What else?" 1. Adaptive shields that can withstand orbital bombardment. Faster engines. And the best part. Helen touched the controls, and the ship's interior appeared. "We made everything simple enough that our pilots can learn the systems in weeks instead of years. The Crithians overcomplicated their designs. We streamlined them." The door opened, and Colonel Marcus Flynn entered. He was a tall man with a scarred face and cold eyes. Behind him came Captain Laura Bennett, a young pilot with quick movements and an eager expression. "You wanted to see us, General?" Flynn asked. "Colonel, Captain, meet our new fleet," Lisa said, gesturing at the hologram. "I need pilots and soldiers who can think differently. The Crithians expect us to fight like they do, in neat formations with predictable tactics. I want you to do the opposite." Bennett studied the ship with obvious hunger. "What kind of opposite, ma'am?" "Hit and run. Ambush. Guerrilla warfare in space. You'll strike where they're weak, avoid where they're strong, and make them chase shadows." Lisa pulled up a star chart. "We've tracked their supply lines. They have a major depot at Titan. That's our first target." Flynn crossed his arms. "That's suicide. Even with new ships, we'll be outnumbered and outgunned, which is why we won't fight fair," Lisa said. "Dr. Carter, explain the stealth approach." Helen brought up tactical simulations. "You'll enter the system completely invisible. Their sensors won't detect you until you're already firing. By the time they react, you'll be gone. Hit them, hurt them, and vanish." "How many ships for the first strike?" Bennett asked. 12, Lisa said. "Small enough to stay hidden, large enough to do real damage. Colonel Flynn, you'll command ground operations. Captain Bennett, you'll lead the fighter wing." Hughes cleared his throat. "General, we should discuss the risk. If this fails, we lose our best pilots and our secret technology. The Crithians will know what we have. If we do nothing, we lose Earth," Lisa said flatly. "The Empire is preparing another assault. Intelligence estimates they'll attack again within 2 months. We need to hit them first. Show them we can fight back, and buy time for the rest of our fleet to be ready." Flynn nodded slowly. "When do we launch?" 1 month. That gives you time to train your teams and learn the ships. Dr. Carter will have your vessels ready. The rest of Earth's forces will continue preparing defenses here. Over the next weeks, the Colorado facility became a training ground for a new kind of warrior. Pilots practiced flying the alien-designed ships, learning to push the engines harder than Krithian operators would dare. Soldiers trained for zero-gravity combat, studying recordings of Krithian fighting styles and finding weaknesses. Lieutenant Chris Mason, a young tactical officer, spent hours analyzing enemy communications. He was the one who discovered the flaw. "General Grant, I need to show you something," Chris said one evening. He looked nervous, as if afraid his idea would be rejected. Lisa looked up from her desk. "Go ahead, Lieutenant." Chris pulled up a series of graphs. "I've been studying Krithian shield technology. Their shields are incredibly strong. But they have one weakness. They need constant power. When their ships charge weapons for bombardment, power diverts from shields for exactly 3 seconds. 3 seconds isn't much time. It is if you know exactly when it's going to happen," Chris said. He showed her calculations. "I can predict the charge cycle. If our ships wait until the shields drop, even for those 3 seconds, our weapons can punch through." Lisa studied his work. The math was solid. The timing would be incredibly tight. But it could work. "Colonel Flynn needs to see this," she said. "Good work, Lieutenant. You might have just given us the edge we need." As the launch date approached, Lisa received updates from around the world. Construction facilities were working around the clock. Former enemies were sharing technology freely. Volunteers lined up by the thousands, wanting to be part of the fight. But there was also troubling news. Intelligence reported that the Krithian Empire was gathering a massive fleet. They had noticed Earth's silence, the lack of surrender, and were preparing to finish what they started. The night before the mission, Lisa walked through the hangar where the 12 ships waited. They looked beautiful and deadly in the artificial light. Crews were doing final checks, their voices echoing in the vast space. Captain Bennett approached her. "We're ready, General." "I know you are," Lisa said. She looked at the young woman, saw the determination in her face. "Laura, this mission is dangerous. You know that." "Yes, ma'am. The Empire thinks we're primitive. They think we'll fight scared. Prove them wrong." Bennett smiled. "That's the plan, ma'am. Hit them hard, hit them fast, and get out before they know what happened." Lisa gripped her shoulder. "Come back safe. All of you. We will. We've got something they don't have." "What's that?" "We're fighting for our home. They're just following orders." Bennett saluted and walked toward her ship. Lisa remained in the hangar until all the crews had boarded. She watched as the ships powered up, their engines glowing with barely contained energy. The stealth systems activated, and one by one, the vessels seemed to fade from view. Admiral Hughes stood beside her. "You think they can do it?" "They have to," Lisa said. "This is just the beginning. If we win at Titan, it proves we can fight. It proves we're not helpless. And it gives the Empire something to think about. And if we lose," Lisa's expression hardened, "then we learn from it and hit them somewhere else. We keep fighting until they leave Earth alone, or until there's nothing left to fight with. Those are the only 2 options." The hangar doors opened, revealing the star-filled sky beyond. The invisible ships lifted off in perfect formation, rising into the night. Within minutes, they were gone, accelerating toward the outer solar system. Lisa activated her communicator. "All stations. This is Grant. Operation First Blood is underway. Continue preparations for planetary defense. If our people at Titan succeed, the Empire will retaliate. We need to be ready." She turned and walked back to the command center. There was no time for rest. Intelligence needed analyzing. Defenses needed strengthening. More pilots needed training. The Krithian Empire had struck Earth first. Now humanity was advancing, and the galaxy was about to learn that humans, when pushed to the edge, would push back with everything they had. The journey to Titan took 6 days. Captain Laura Bennett sat in the command chair of her ship, watching the stars drift past. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly, checking systems and running simulations. They were invisible to any sensors, ghosts moving through space. "All ships reporting ready status," Lieutenant Chris Mason said from the tactical station. The young officer had proven himself during training and earned a spot on the mission. Enemy station is 2 hours away. Laura nodded. Keep monitoring their communications. I want to know if anything changes. In the ships around hers, 144 crew members prepared for combat. Some prayed. Some wrote messages to families back on Earth. Others simply checked their weapons one more time. Colonel Marcus Flynn stood in the armory of his transport ship, inspecting the boarding team. 40 soldiers in adapted combat suits looked back at him. These were the best Earth had. Pulled from special forces units around the world. Listen up, Flynn said. Our job is simple. Get inside that station, plant charges on their reactor, and download every piece of data we can grab. Then we get out before the whole thing explodes. Questions? A young corporal raised his hand. Sir, what if we run into heavy resistance? Then we shoot our way through, Flynn said bluntly. These people killed 8 million humans without warning. They don't deserve mercy. But we're not here for revenge. We're here to hurt them, learn from them, and get home. Stay focused. The soldiers nodded. They understood. Back on Laura's ship, the sensor officer spoke up. Captain, I'm picking up the station. Distance 1 million kilometers and closing. Laura leaned forward. Put it on screen. The Crithian supply depot appeared. It was massive, a sprawling structure of metal and energy fields orbiting Titan. Dozens of cargo ships moved in and out, carrying supplies for the Empire's fleet. Defense platforms surrounded it, bristling with weapons. Count 40 enemy vessels in the area, Chris said. Mix of cargo ships, escort fighters, and 2 destroyers. Any sign they detect us? Laura asked. Negative. Stealth systems holding perfectly. They have no idea we're here. Laura smiled coldly. Let's keep it that way. All ships, move into attack positions. Wait for my signal. The 12 human ships drifted closer, still invisible. They spread out in a careful formation, each one targeting a different section of the station. The Crithian crews went about their duties, unaware that death was approaching. Laura watched the countdown. 30 seconds. 20. 10. All weapons charged and ready, Chris reported. Fire, Laura said. Space lit up with energy beams and missiles. The human ships appeared suddenly, their stealth systems dropping as they unleashed everything they had. The surprise was total. 3 Crithian cargo ships exploded in the first volley. A defense platform shattered, spinning pieces of metal flying in all directions. The destroyers tried to react, but they were too slow. Human missiles slammed into their hulls before their shields could fully activate. Enemy attempting to return fire, Chris said. Their targeting systems are struggling to lock on. We're moving too fast for them. Laura's ship rolled and dove, avoiding incoming fire by meters. Her pilot was brilliant, pushing the engines exactly as hard as they could go. Behind them, 2 Crithian fighters tried to follow and lost control, unable to match the sharp turns. Station shields are up, Chris announced. But they're diverting power from their weapons to maintain them. Just like you predicted, Laura said. All ships, focus fire on the shield generators. Hit them hard. The human fleet concentrated their attack. Energy beams hammered the same section of shield over and over. The Crithian defense was strong, but it wasn't designed to handle this kind of focused assault. Flynn's transport ship raced toward the station. As the shields weakened in one section, he saw his opportunity. Pilot, take us through that gap. Now, Flynn ordered. The transport shot forward, squeezing through a momentary hole in the shield. Alarms blared as they entered the station's defensive perimeter. But they were already too close for the big guns to target effectively. Brace for impact, the pilot shouted. The transport slammed into the station's docking bay, tearing through the doors. Metal screamed. Sparks flew. Then they were inside, the ship settling with a heavy crash. Go, 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 Flynn yelled. The rear hatch blew open. Soldiers poured out, weapons ready. The docking bay was chaos. Crithian workers and soldiers scrambled for cover, caught completely off guard by the sudden assault. Flynn fired his weapon, the adapted energy rifle taking down 2 enemy soldiers before they could raise their own guns. Around him, His team moved with practiced efficiency, clearing the bay in seconds. Demolition team, head for the reactor, Flynn commanded. Intelligence team, find their computer core. Everyone else, with me. We're securing the route. Outside, Laura's battle continued. The Crithians were recovering from their shock, getting organized. More ships were launching from the station, and the destroyers had finally gotten their shields fully operational. "Captain, we're taking fire," the helmsman said. The ship shook as energy beams grazed their shields. "Return fire." "Chris? What's Flynn's status?" "He's inside. Demolition team is moving toward the reactor. Estimate 10 minutes until charges are placed. We need to hold that long." Laura targeted an approaching fighter and fired. The enemy ship exploded. "All ships. Keep them busy. Don't let them focus on the station entrance." The space battle intensified. Human ships darted and weaved, using their superior speed and maneuverability. Crithian vessels had more firepower, but they couldn't hit targets that moved so unpredictably. Inside the station, Flynn's team fought through corridors. The Crithians fought back hard, but they were used to enemies that fought in orderly formations. Flynn's soldiers moved like water, flowing around obstacles and hitting from unexpected angles. "Reactor room ahead," one soldier reported. Flynn peered around a corner. 10 Crithian soldiers had set up a defensive position, using cargo containers for cover. Their weapons were bigger and more powerful than anything the humans carried. "Grenades," Flynn said. 3 explosives flew through the air. The Crithians tried to react, but the confined space worked against them. The grenades detonated, shredding their position. Flynn's team charged through the smoke, finishing off the survivors. The reactor room was enormous. A massive sphere of energy pulsed at the center, feeding power to the entire station. The demolition expert, Sergeant Amy Walsh, immediately started placing charges. "This is beautiful," she muttered. "One reactor for the whole station. They weren't expecting anyone to get this close." "How long?" Flynn asked. 5 minutes to set the charges, then we have 10 minutes to get clear before detonation." "Make it 4 minutes," Flynn said. "The longer we stay, the more likely we don't leave." The intelligence team reported success as well. They had accessed the station's computer core and were downloading navigation data, fleet positions, and supply schedules. Outside, Laura's ship took a direct hit. Shields flared and held, but barely. "Shield strength at 30%, Chris warned. "Another hit like that, and we're in trouble." "Evasive pattern Delta," Laura ordered. "How much longer does Flynn need?" 3 minutes until charges are set, then 10 more until detonation." A Crithian destroyer moved to block their escape route. It was massive, easily 10 times the size of Laura's ship. Its weapons began charging. "Chris, remember that weakness you found?" Laura asked. "Yes, ma'am. 3-second window when they charge their main guns." "How long until they fire?" Chris watched his displays. "Charging now. Window opens in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now." Laura's ship unleashed every weapon at once. The beams caught the destroyer exactly when its shields were down. The impact was devastating. Explosions rippled across the destroyer's hull. Secondary detonations followed as ammunition stores ignited. The massive ship began to drift, losing power. "Flynn, we need to leave, now," Laura transmitted. Inside the station, Flynn heard the call. "Charges set. Everyone back to the transport." The team ran. Behind them, Crithian soldiers gave chase, firing wildly. 2 human soldiers fell, but their teammates dragged them along, refusing to leave anyone behind. They reached the docking bay just as more enemy forces arrived. The transport's guns provided cover fire, cutting down pursuers. Flynn was the last aboard. "Lift off now," he shouted. The transport shot out of the station, shields sparking under enemy fire. They cleared the docking bay and immediately dove toward Titan's atmosphere, using the moon for cover. "Charges detonating in 30 seconds, Amy said calmly. Laura's fleet regrouped. They had lost 1 ship, destroyed by focused fire from both destroyers. The other 11 were damaged but functional. All ships, get clear of the blast radius, Laura ordered. Stealth systems back online in 3, 2, 1. The human ships vanished from sensors again, pulling back from the station. The charges detonated. The reactor went critical in an instant. A sphere of white light expanded, consuming everything. The station shattered, pieces spinning away in all directions. The 2 destroyers were caught in the blast, their shields failing under the massive energy release. Cargo ships and fighters were vaporized. When the light faded, the Crythian supply depot was gone. In its place was an expanding cloud of debris. Laura sat back in her chair, breathing hard. Around her, the bridge crew cheered. "Damage report," she said, forcing herself to stay professional. "Hull breaches on 3 ships, but they're contained. Shields depleted across the fleet but regenerating. We lost the Falcon and 18 crew. Injuries on all remaining ships." Chris paused. "Ma'am, we did it. We actually did it. Set course for Earth," Laura said quietly, "and transmit a message to General Grant. Tell her Operation First Blood was a success." The ships turned and accelerated, leaving Titan behind. As they fled toward home, Crythian reinforcements arrived at the battle site. The commanders surveyed the wreckage in disbelief. Humans had done this. Primitive humans, who were supposed to be helpless and defeated. The reports would reach the Empire within hours, and the Empire would learn that Earth had meant every word. They had struck first. Now humanity was advancing, and the cost of that first strike was only beginning to be counted. The destruction of the Titan supply depot sent shockwaves through the Crythian Empire. For the first time in 300 years, an enemy had struck deep into their territory and escaped. Emperor Kalvex sat on his throne, listening to reports with growing fury. "How many ships did we lose?" he demanded. General Vormak, his top military commander, stood at attention. 43 vessels destroyed or damaged beyond repair. Supreme 1. The station is a total loss. Our supply lines to the outer territories are disrupted, and the humans responsible escaped. 12 ships appeared from nowhere, destroyed the station, and vanished again. Our sensors could not track them. The Emperor's 4 eyes narrowed. "You told me these creatures were primitive. You said they would surrender or die. They were primitive, Supreme 1. Vormak said carefully. "Something has changed. They have technology we did not anticipate." "Then change our approach," Kalvex said. "I want their planet crushed. Assemble the Grand Fleet. I want every warship we can spare sent to their system. And General, I want results." On Earth, General Lisa Grant stood in the command center, reviewing the intelligence that Colonel Flynn's team had recovered from Titan. What she saw made her stomach turn. "Admiral Hughes, you need to see this," she said. Hughes joined her at the console. The files showed a list of star systems, each marked with a date and status. Conquered, enslaved, exterminated. "How many?" Hughes asked quietly. 17 species, Lisa said. "The Crythian Empire has been doing this for centuries. They find a planet with resources, demand surrender, and destroy anyone who resists. We're just the latest target." She opened another file. Images appeared, showing weapons designed for mass destruction. Chemical agents, biological plagues, weapons that killed slowly and painfully. "They've used these before," Lisa said. "On a species called the Vexel. An entire planet. Dead in a week." Hughes looked ill. "Are they planning to use them on us?" Major Angela Ross, the intelligence officer, entered the room carrying more data. "General, I intercepted communications from deep space. The Empire is assembling a massive fleet, at least 200 ships, and I found reference to something called Project Cleansing." "What is that?" Lisa asked. Angela pulled up files. "A biological weapon designed specifically for human biology. They've been developing it since they first surveyed Earth 10 years ago. The plan was always to exterminate us if we didn't surrender immediately." Lisa felt cold rage building inside her. They were planning this from the beginning. The bombardment, the surrender demand. It was all theater. They were going to kill us all anyway. There's more, Angela said. I've identified the facility where they're developing the weapon. It's on a research station in the Kuiper Belt. About a week's travel from here. How long until it's ready for deployment? Hughes asked. Unknown. But given that they're mobilizing their grand fleet, I'd estimate they want it ready soon. Want 'em a grand fleet. Want 'em a grand fleet. I'd estimate they want it ready soon. Lisa made her decision. We destroy that facility. Now. Before they can finish whatever they're building. General, our fleet isn't ready for a major engagement, Hughes protested. We have 60 ships operational, but the crews are barely trained. Going up against a defended research station will be costly. More costly than letting them finish a weapon that could kill everyone on Earth? Lisa asked. We don't have a choice. Get me Colonel Flynn and Captain Bennett, and mobilize everything we have. 3 days later, Earth's fleet gathered in orbit. 60 ships, freshly built and crewed by pilots who had trained for less than 2 months. They faced impossible odds, but every crew member had volunteered. Admiral Hughes commanded the main battle group from the flagship Unity. His orders were simple. Protect Earth at all costs, even if it meant sacrificing the fleet. Colonel Flynn led a strike team of 30 ships with one mission: reach the research station and destroy it. Captain Bennett flew as his second-in-command. All ships, this is General Grant. Lisa's voice came through the communication system. You're about to face the largest military force Earth has ever encountered. The Empire thinks we're weak. They think we'll break. Prove them wrong. Fight smart, fight hard, and come home. The fleet moved out, accelerating toward the Kuiper Belt. They found the enemy waiting. The Krithian Grand Fleet hung in space like a wall of metal and fire. 200 warships, some larger than Earth's biggest cities. Their weapons could glass a planet. Their shields could withstand nuclear strikes, and they greatly outnumbered the human fleet. This is insane, one pilot muttered over the open channel. Quiet, Hughes said. All ships, execute Plan Delta, scatter formation, make them chase you. The human fleet split into small groups, each moving in different directions. The Krithians tried to follow, but their large ships were slow. They couldn't keep up with the smaller, faster human vessels. Flynn's strike force broke away, heading for the research station. 20 Krithian ships moved to intercept. Bennett, take your wing and keep them busy, Flynn ordered. I need 5 minutes to reach that station. Copy that, Laura said. All fighters, with me. Let's give them something to chase. Her ships dove toward the enemy, firing missiles and energy beams. The Krithians took the bait, turning to pursue. It was exactly what Laura wanted. She led them on a wild chase through the debris field, using asteroids for cover. Her pilots flew with skill born from desperation, dodging fire by impossible margins. One of her ships took a direct hit. It spun away, dead in space. Then another. Keep moving, Laura said through gritted teeth. Don't give them an easy target. Behind her, Flynn's team reached the research station. It was heavily defended, with shield generators and automated weapons. But Flynn had learned from Titan. Target those generators, he commanded. Concentrated fire, all ships. The human vessels hammered the same point on the shields. Energy beams struck over and over. The shields flickered, weakened, failed. Breach detected, someone reported. Boarding teams, go. Soldiers in combat suits launched from the ships, using jetpacks to cross the gap. They cut through the station's hull and poured inside. The Krithian defenders were ready this time. Heavy weapons and prepared positions made every corridor a death trap. Flynn's team fought hard, losing soldiers with every meter gained. We need to move faster, Flynn said, firing his weapon at an enemy position. Angela, where's the weapon development lab? Major Ross, leading the intelligence team, consulted her data. 3 levels down. Central section. I'm picking up massive energy signatures. That's our target. Move. Meanwhile, the main battle raged. Admiral Hughes watched as his fleet traded blows with the Krithians. Human ships were faster and more maneuverable. But the enemy had overwhelming firepower. "Sir, we've lost 12 ships," his tactical officer reported. "Enemy losses at 34. We're inflicting damage, but they're wearing us down." "Keep firing," Hughes said. "As long as we're fighting, we're protecting Earth." A Crythian dreadnought broke through the human lines, heading toward Earth. Hughes made a hard choice. "All ships, target that dreadnought. I don't care what else is shooting at you. Stop that ship." The human fleet converged. Missiles and energy beams struck the massive vessel from all sides. Its shields held, but the coordinated attack slowed it down. Then one brave pilot, Commander Ryan Cole, did something no one expected. He rammed his damaged ship directly into the dreadnought's bridge. The explosion was massive. The dreadnought lost control, drifting away from Earth. Inside the research station, Flynn's team reached the weapons lab. What they found made them stop. Massive tanks filled with green liquid. Inside each tank floated samples of the biological weapon, enough to kill billions. Scientists in protective suits worked at control panels, monitoring the deadly creation. "Destroy it all," Flynn ordered. His soldiers opened fire. Tanks shattered. Green liquid spilled across the floor, eating through the metal. Alarms blared as containment failed. Angela downloaded data from the computers, copying everything she could. "General Grant needs to see this. Evidence of their crimes." "Get it and let's go," Flynn said. "This place is about to be toxic." They retreated, fighting through more defenders. The Crythians tried desperately to stop them. But Flynn's team was motivated by pure fury now. They had seen the weapon meant to exterminate humanity. Back at the ships, Flynn gave the final order. "Plant the charges. We're ending this." Explosives were placed throughout the station's core systems. The team evacuated, racing back to their ships as Crythian forces closed in. Charges set. Detonation in 60 seconds, a demolitions expert reported. The strike force pulled away from the station. Laura's fighters rejoined them, having lost half their number but buying the time Flynn needed. The research station exploded. Unlike Titan, this detonation was slower, more thorough. The biological weapons ignited, creating a toxic cloud that consumed the facility completely. Nothing survived. "Target destroyed," Flynn reported. Returning to the main fleet, but the battle was far from over. Admiral Hughes had lost 30 ships. The Crythians had lost 60, but they still had numerical superiority. "General Grant, this is Hughes," the Admiral transmitted. "We've stopped their advance, but we can't hold much longer. Requesting permission to withdraw." There was a long pause. Then Lisa's voice came through, steady and calm. "Denied, Admiral. Hold your position. Reinforcements are coming." "What reinforcements?" Hughes asked. "We deployed everything we had." "Not everything," Lisa said. On the edge of the solar system, new ships appeared. Sleek vessels with unfamiliar designs. They weren't human. They weren't Crythian. A transmission came through on all frequencies. The voice was translated into English. "This is Captain Zekthar, of the Vexel Remnant Fleet. We intercepted your broadcast, showing Crythian war crimes. Our people were exterminated by the Empire. We offer our assistance to Earth." More ships appeared. Different designs, different species. All of them had one thing in common. The Crythian Empire had attacked them before. "This is Ambassador Torres," another voice said. General Grant shared the evidence with the galactic community. "These species want justice just as much as we do." The Allied fleet struck the Crythians from behind. Caught between two forces, the Empire's Grand Fleet broke. Ships tried to retreat, but the Allies were merciless. General Vormach watched his fleet shatter. He sent a final message to Emperor Calvex. "Supreme One, we have failed. The humans have allies. They have exposed our crimes. Requesting permission to withdraw. Day. This is in the universe of Ilis RI. The universe is RI. The universe is Ilis RI. They have explained. The universe is Ilis RI. The universe is Ilis." The Emperor's response was cold. Retreat to the home system. Prepare our final defenses. The humans want war. We will give them one they cannot win. The Allied fleet gathered in orbit around Mars. Earth's 60 remaining ships joined with vessels from 12 different species, all united by one purpose. The Crithian Empire had to answer for its crimes. General Lisa Grant stood in the command center, watching representatives from the Allied species appear on communication screens. Each one had a story of Crithian aggression. Each one wanted justice. "We thank Earth for exposing the Empire's atrocities," Captain Zekthar of the Vexel said. His species was insectoid, with compound eyes and sharp mandibles. "Our people were told we died from a plague. The galaxy never knew the Crithians murdered us." "How many survived?" Lisa asked. 40,000, scattered across hidden colonies. "The Empire thinks we're extinct." Zekthar's translator conveyed his anger. "We've been waiting for a chance to strike back. You've given us that chance." Ambassador Daniel Torres, who had been coordinating diplomatic efforts, spoke up. "General, we have pledged support from 17 species. Not all can provide military forces, but they're sharing intelligence and resources. The Crithian Empire is diplomatically isolated." "What about the neutral civilizations?" Lisa asked, watching closely. "If we win, many will join the alliance. If we lose, they'll pretend they never heard of us." Lisa nodded. She understood. Fear kept the galaxy quiet. But anger, properly directed, could overcome fear. "We advance to the Crithian home system in 3 days," she announced. "Colonel Flynn will coordinate ground operations. Admiral Hughes commands the space battle. Captain Bennett leads fighter operations. And I'll be there, on the flagship," Hughes protested. "General, you should stay on Earth where it's safe." "Nowhere is safe if we lose this war," Lisa said. "I told the Empire we would advance. I intend to keep that promise personally." Meanwhile, deep in Crithian space, Emperor Kolovex prepared for the coming battle. His throne world, Krith Prime, was the most heavily defended planet in the Empire. Orbital platforms surrounded it. Thousands of automated defense drones waited in formation. The remaining fleet, over 300 ships, gathered to protect their home. But the Emperor had a problem. Prince Sekthar, his oldest son and heir, was questioning the war. "Father, we should negotiate," Sekthar said. "The humans have allies. They've exposed our actions to the galaxy. Continuing this fight will destroy us." "We are the Crithian Empire," Kalvex said coldly. "We do not negotiate with inferior species. We conquer, or we exterminate. There is no middle ground." "Then we will fall," Sekthar said. "The humans are not what we thought. They're innovative, determined, and they've turned our victims into allies. We cannot win this." "I can win this," the Emperor said, "and when the humans arrive, I will show them the price of defiance." Sekthar left the throne room deeply troubled. He began to think about what would be best for his people, not just his father's pride. The Allied fleet reached the Crithian home system 4 days later. They emerged from faster-than-light travel at the system's edge, giving the defenders time to see them coming. Lisa stood on the bridge of the Unity, watching the enemy forces appear on tactical displays. The numbers were sobering. Even with allies, they were outnumbered 2-1. "All ships, this is General Grant," she transmitted. "The Empire thinks we'll retreat when we see their strength. They think we'll lose our nerve, but we came here for one reason: to make them answer for every life they've taken. Today, we advance. Today, we make them understand that actions have consequences." The fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Human ships flew alongside alien vessels, united by shared purpose. The Crithian defense fleet moved to intercept. General Vormak commanded from a massive battleship, determined to redeem his earlier failures. "All ships, target the human vessels first," he ordered. "They are the heart of this rebellion. Remove them, and the others will flee." The two fleets met in the space between Krith Prime and its moon. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. Human ships used their speed advantage, darting between larger Krithian vessels and striking at weak points. The Vexil employed hive tactics, swarming targets with coordinated attacks. Other allied species brought their own unique approaches to combat. Captain Laura Bennett led her fighter wing deep into enemy formations, targeting the orbital defense platforms. Her pilots flew with skill, born from months of constant combat. "Platform 7 is down," she reported. Moving to Platform 8, Lieutenant Chris Mason, now commanding his own ship, found another weakness. "General, their command ship is coordinating all defensive fire. If we disable it, their formations will lose cohesion." "Do it," Lisa said. Chris led a strike force directly at Vormak's battleship. The Krithian defenses were heavy, but Chris had learned from every battle. His ships moved in a pattern that made them nearly impossible to target effectively. They hammered the battleship's communication arrays. One by one, the systems failed. Vormak found himself unable to coordinate his fleet. "Restore communications," he demanded. His crew worked frantically, but human jamming systems blocked every attempt. Without central coordination, the Krithian defense began to falter. Ships received conflicting orders, or no orders at all. The Allied fleet pressed their advantage. Colonel Flynn's transport ships broke through the chaos, heading for the planet's surface. His mission was critical: capture the Emperor and force a surrender. "Multiple defense batteries targeting us," the pilot warned. "Evasive action," Flynn ordered. "Get us through this." The transports weaved and dodged. Two were destroyed by surface fire, but the others made it through. They landed in the capital city, soldiers pouring out to establish a perimeter. The Krithian military tried to respond, but they were in disarray. Their fleet was losing. Their emperor was threatened. Confusion reigned. Flynn's team fought through the city streets toward the imperial palace. Civilians fled in panic. Soldiers tried to mount a defense, but were overwhelmed by the speed and aggression of the human assault. Inside the palace, Prince Sekthar made his decision. He gathered loyal officers and confronted his father. "This ends now," Sekthar said. "You started a war we cannot win. You brought this destruction to our home. I'm removing you from power." Emperor Kalvex reached for a weapon, but his guards did not move to help him. They had seen the writing on the wall. The Empire was dying because of one being's pride. "You dare betray me?" Kalvex said. "I dare to save our people," Sekthar replied. "Guards, remove him." Minutes later, Flynn's team burst into the throne room to find Prince Sekthar waiting. "I am Prince Sekthar, acting ruler of the Krithian Empire," he said through a translator. "I offer unconditional surrender. Please, stop the attack on our world." Flynn contacted General Grant immediately. "General, we have a situation. The Krithians are offering surrender. Their prince staged a coup." Lisa processed this information quickly. "Is it legitimate?" "Appears to be. The Emperor is in custody. The prince is broadcasting orders to his fleet to stand down." Lisa watched as Krithian ships stopped firing. They were still dangerous, still capable of fighting, but their weapons went silent. "All Allied forces, cease fire," Lisa ordered. "Hold positions but do not advance. Ambassador Torres, I need you to negotiate surrender terms." The battle ended. Damaged ships drifted in space. Thousands had died on both sides. But the killing stopped. Lisa took a shuttle to the surface, accompanied by Torres and a security team. She entered the Imperial Palace, where Prince Sekthar waited. "General Grant," Sekthar said, "I have reviewed the evidence you shared with the galaxy. My father's crimes are inexcusable. I cannot undo the past, but I can ensure it does not continue." "You attacked Earth without provocation," Lisa said. Her voice was cold. "You killed 8 million people. You plan to exterminate my entire species. Why should I accept your surrender instead of destroying your world?" "Because you are better than my father," Sekthar said. "You had every right to do to us what we tried to do to you." But you didn't. You fought only until we stopped fighting. That is the difference between humans and the Empire. You seek justice, not revenge. Lisa studied the prince. He was young, perhaps too young for the burden he now carried. But his words rang true. "These are my terms," she said. "The Crithian Empire will disarm to defensive forces only. You will provide reparations to every species you've harmed. You will open your territory to inspections, and you will stand trial for war crimes, along with your father and every officer who participated in atrocities." "I accept," Sekthar said. "My people will pay for what we have done." Torres drafted the treaty. Representatives from the allied species added their requirements. It took 3 days of negotiation. But finally, the agreement was signed. Lisa broadcast a message to the Crithian people. "You struck Earth first. You chose war. We chose to advance. And we did not stop until justice was served. Your empire is dissolved, your military is disarmed, but you have a chance to rebuild as something better. Learn from this. Never forget what pride and aggression cost you." She turned to Captain Bennett, Colonel Flynn, and all the soldiers who had fought. "We're going home." The journey back to Earth took a week. When they arrived, the planet was celebrating. Cities that had been destroyed were being rebuilt. Memorials were being constructed for the fallen. Lisa stood at the dedication of the largest memorial, in the ruins of New York. 8 million names were carved into black stone, each one representing a life lost to Crithian aggression. "We remember them," Lisa said to the gathered crowd. "We remember why we fought. Not for conquest, not for revenge, but for the right to exist in peace. The galaxy learned what happens when you strike Earth. We do not surrender. We do not break. We advance." Admiral Hughes stood beside her. "What now, General?" "The war is over. Now we build," Lisa said. "We make sure Earth is never vulnerable again. We help the species the Empire hurt. We become the protectors we needed when the Crithians came." Captain Bennett approached. "General, I received word. The Galactic Council wants Earth to join. They're offering us a seat." "We'll consider it," Lisa said. "But on our terms. We won't be pushed around again. God Savano, we won't be pushed around again." She looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, other species were watching, learning the lesson Earth had taught. Humanity was no longer primitive or isolated. They were a force to be respected. You strike Earth first, you face the consequences. You threaten humanity, you face a species that never stops advancing. And the galaxy would remember.